Here's some guidance on brainstorming for your social movement research assignment. Remember that this could be a traditional 4 to 6 page essay, which is double-spaced, or a 10 to 15 minute recording. You could use Camtasia to record this, GarageBand, your phone, or even open a slide on Zoom and record yourself speaking. Canvas also has a feature in which you can record directly into the assignment, so any of that would work well. Also, your writing or the information that you gather for this assignment could directly be used for your group podcast script. If you're wondering which facet of your group's social movement to research, think of your team topic as maybe like a tree trunk, and your specific issue or topic within that as one branch on the tree. Your topic will tie back to the trunk, but explores one specific area in and of itself. The area could be an important event in some historical timeline of the movement, a key figure, maybe a coalition between various disparate groups, collaboration among individual members, a specific organization within the larger movement, a tactic that they employed, maybe in their direct actions, an issue they addressed, maybe a blind spot or a complication, something they may have missed when the group was structured, a success of the group, an influential location, places where important things happened in the movement, or some other historic aspect that really interests you. So if you're kind of stuck, I would recommend thinking about who or what part of the movement interests you the most. What are you drawn to? Is it the cause of the movement? Is it someone important? Is it a creative civil disobedience that they engaged in? So what really interests or excites you? So say, for example, if my group were researching the disability rights movement, I'm most interested in accessible higher education. So I could choose to research the formation and history of student disability services offices. Or, since this is really closely tied with the work of particular activists, I could research Ed Roberts or John Hessler, the first students who advocated for accessible housing at UC Berkeley's campus in 1962 and 1963. Or Mark O'Brien, who enrolled in 1978 and required an iron lung at night. He became a prominent writer and advocate. So now what I should do is conduct some initial background research. So I would do a basic online search and see which resources come up. Also, when viewing these sources and reading through them, I always go to the bottom of the page. So there are often related links offering more research material, more sources. In Wikipedia particularly, there are links and citations at the bottom of the page, and use those to read more and gain more background research, more specific research. So once you've done a basic review of your topic and done this initial reading, brainstorm what would be important to include in your exploration of it in your paper. I like to do this visually. For example, I probably would want to research Mark O'Brien, and I would want to discuss his background information. Where did he grow up? What was his prior experience with education? What was the state of disability rights when he was young? Then I could look at his specific case and disability. So he had polio as a child, which was prevalent then due to the lack of a vaccine. It wasn't licensed until 1960, and that only prevented one strain. A combined vaccine was not even available until 1963. So then I would look at the impact of polio and his specific physical needs. I'd like to mention Ed Roberts as the first student with prominent physical disabilities who had opened doors. Then maybe it would be good to look at his original accommodations in terms of housing and classes. Then examine his life after school, including his book of poetry and his essay on surrogacy and sexuality, which led to the film The Sessions. Finally, examining his contributions to the disability movement in general. And the archives that they have at the UC Berkeley Bancroft Library. But it would be important for me to connect his experience to the emergence of the disability rights movement and the pathways he forged for students with disabilities to attend college, live on campus, and independently. He was somebody who was an advocate and inspired others to follow suit, forcing the doors of universities open in ways that they had not been before. Now, looking at all of this, I probably would not be able to include all of it in this essay unless I wanted it to be much longer, so I may have to cut some things down. So I could either focus on his early days or maybe just look at when he arrived at UC Berkeley and what his experience was there and move forward. But once I have my structure, I'll begin to find sources to explain each. I'll paraphrase some of them. I'll include some direct quotes as well, but always make sure to have in-text citations for every piece of information, even paraphrase, that does not come solely from me. When writing the essay, I'll draw up an introduction and conclusion. I'll also be sure to include a thesis. Theses should always mention the what and the why. So, what statement am I making about the subject and why is it important? And this should be included early on in your paper. For this essay, my thesis might be, Mark O'Brien was a pioneer in creating accessible living arrangements and classrooms for students with physical disabilities. His advocacy forged opportunities for future university students of all abilities to live independently and attend college. So if you have any questions as you begin to brainstorm, please reach out to me.